Let's go, girls. Come on. I'm going out tonight. I'm feeling alright. Gonna let it all hang out. Wanna make some noise, really raise my voice. Yeah, I wanna scream and shout. No inhibitions, make no conditions. Get a little out of line. I ain't gonna act politically correct. I only wanna have a good time. The best thing about being a woman is the prerogative to have a little fun. Oh, 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 they're totally crazy. Forget them a lady. Men, shirt, short skirts. Oh, 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 really go wild, yeah. Doing that in style. Oh, 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 get in the action. Feel the attraction. Cover my head, do what I dare. Oh, 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 I wanna be free, yeah. Feel the way I feel. Man, I feel like a woman. The girls need a break tonight. We're gonna take the chance to get out on the town. We don't need romance, we only wanna dance. We're gonna let our hang down. The best thing about being a woman is the prerogative to have a little fun. Oh, 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 they're totally crazy. Forget them a lady. Men, shirt, short skirts. Oh, 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 really go wild, yeah. Doing that in style. Oh, 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 get in the action. Feel the attraction. Cover my head, do what I dare. Oh, 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 I wanna be free, yeah. Feel the way I feel. Man, I feel like a woman. Oh yeah, the best thing about being a woman is the prerogative to have a little fun, fun, fun. Oh, 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 they're totally crazy. Forget them a lady. Men, shirt, short skirts. Oh, 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 really go wild, yeah. Doing that in style. Oh, 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 get in the action. Feel the attraction. Cover my head, do what I dare. Oh, 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 I wanna be free, yeah. Feel the way I feel. Man, I feel like a woman. Oh, oh, yeah, yeah. I got totally crazy. Can you feel it? Come, come, come on, baby. I feel like a woman.
The top of my heart when it skips a beat. Can't feel no pavement right under my feet. I feel my lonely room when I'm dreaming of you. Oh, what can I do? I still need you, but I don't want you now. When I
the choral. Hello and welcome to
Good
RYFM.
evening. We are back 6 p.m. till 8 p.m. Anna and Alfie.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Today is a very exciting day. Do you want to ask why, Alfie?
Why?
Because we have the minister, the children's minister, Senator Sam Mézec, and the Assistant Minister for Education, Deputy Jeremy Maçon.
Exciting
Joining
times.
us joining us in the studio, joining us virtually in the studio. We're phoning them at 6:30 p.m. So make sure you stay tuned for that. We'll be asking them all your questions that you've sent in, all the questions that have been sent in via the Government of Jersey Facebook page and just everyone on Facebook. However, some of them aren't on the the list because they were sent in too late. Because you have to send them prior so that they can go and do the research for the answers, I presume. So who knows? Hopefully we'll be able to. We might even have them on again. We don't know. But yeah, stay tuned for that. And then after that, also very exciting, Sue and Laurent from the Yes Project will be on air after the ministers at about, I think it's 7:30, joining us. So to tell us a little bit about the Yes Project, the Youth Inquiry Service, and what's going on there and just everything, which will be good. And again, they'll be answering your questions. So an exciting evening. And then in between times, we'll be doing our positive news. I've got some like, I wouldn't say they're facts, some like, what do you call them? Like, let's say info, to be cool. Some info on different musicians and like some cool things. Well, some of them cool, some of them are not. And then I have a general knowledge quiz just in case, but we don't know how long the minister's interview is going to take, and we don't know how long the Yes Project interview is going to take. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be a little bit of this and a little bit of that today, I think.
Cool.
So if you have any song requests in between times, then please do text in to RYFM on 07797 770 700. That's 07797 770 700. Have you had a good day today, Alfie?
Yeah, it's been alright.
What have you done?
Not much.
You recorded a song though, didn't you?
I recorded a little cover for my page.
Something very exciting happened this morning for you.
Did it?
Think. What did you go and get?
Oh yeah, we got a bass.
You sound so thrilled. It's
I want
I
my
actually
dad to
haven't
get a
seen
bass.
it. Is
It's
it
in there.
Oh, I'll have a look after.
Yeah, it's a pretty nice one.
Yeah, so Alfie's now the proud new owner of a bass.
Well, it's Dad's.
Oh, Dad's now the proud new owner of a bass guitar, which Alfie will probably end up using a heck of a lot more than Dad. And today what did I do? I just sunbathed, really.
Yeah.
I didn't really
You're
do
going to
much.
complain that you're burnt tonight.
I'm not burnt though, look.
You always do.
I got a tan.
You always complain that you're
I
burnt,
got a
even though you
tan.
sat out in the sun all day.
Yeah, but I put factor 50 plus on
Well done.
every hour, just to be sure.
Blimey.
Because I really don't like getting burnt. So yeah, that's what I did today, and yeah, I think that's it.
Cool.
I took my dogs for a walk as well. The days are all merging into one. I don't even know what I did yesterday. Couldn't tell you. What day is it? It's Monday. Is it Monday?
No, yeah, it's Monday.
Oh, okay. Okay, so the weekend. We had the weekend. I went paddleboarding at the weekend with Laurent, actually, coincidentally, who we will be interviewing later, and Sam and my other friend Beth Ann. And then on what did I do yesterday? On Sunday, like 4 of my friends who were girls, we took our breakfast down to the beach and just socially distanced sat and ate down there.
Nice.
So I've been
very
eating
nice.
a lot of food over the weekend, but that's not a bad thing. Did you do much at the weekend?
No, not really. Can't even remember.
You can tell me and Alfie are very different people. Okay, song time. We're going to go to a song and we'll be back shortly.
You and me, we used to be together every day, together always. I really feel they can be inviting, but some are altogether mighty frightening. As we die for you and I, with my head in my hands, I sit and cry. Don't speak, know just what you said, so please stop explaining. Don't tell me 'cause it hurts. No, no, don't speak. I know what you're thinking, and I don't need your reasons. Don't tell me 'cause it hurts. It's all ending. You gotta stop pretending who you are. You and me, I can see us dying, are we? Don't speak, I know just what you said, so please stop explaining. Don't tell me 'cause it hurts. No, no, don't speak. I know what you're thinking, and I don't need your reasons. Don't tell me 'cause it hurts. Don't tell me 'cause it hurts. I know what you're saying, so please stop explaining. Don't speak, don't speak, don't speak. Oh, I know what you're thinking, and I don't need your reasons. I know you're good, I know you're good, I know you're real good. Oh, la la la.
Just Like Heaven by The Cure.
Okay, we're going to play, actually... Oh, wait a minute. That was distracting. My mum just bought us chocolate biscuits. And she's trying to give herself food. Oh, she just tripped over the heater. So yeah, we're about to call the Children's Minister, Senator Sam Mézec, and the Assistant Minister for Education, Deputy Jeremy Maçon. So this is exciting.
Yeah.
Alfie's basically, before this interview, we had I don't know if you call it a skerfuffle, but Alfie got a new phone in between. Is it all right?
Yeah.
In between the last time we interviewed the ministers and now, and he's got like a new iPhone. So, but saying that, I've got that as well. So you need like a special adapter. You can't put an aux straight into the phone. And mine, you can't put an aux straight into the phone.
Joking?
What?
I just realised that could probably work. Actually, no.
No, it's a C one, USB-C. But my phone actually came with an adapter, so I had to sprint upstairs before the show and try and find the adapter. But it was where I left it, which never normally happens. So there you go. Okay, we are going to go to a song now, and then we're going to call the ministers, and we'll be back with them soon. So exciting.
As I look out, you're warning me. Your thoughts devour my point of view. It's true, I cower when I will speak. So let's get round to why I will be the first in line to open up, so I don't mind to give you up. So let's get round to why the one I need is tied up right now. So let's just wait a while. The one I need is tied up right now. So let's not draw the line, 'cause I can't make my mind up right now. So let's just wait a while. The one I need is tied up right. I will be the first in line to what I need is tied up right.
Tied Up Right Now by Parcels. Big tune, that one.
So we are joined live with the Children's Minister, Senator Sam Mézec, and the Assistant Minister for Education, Deputy Jeremy Maçon.
Are we loud and clear, guys?
Yeah, that's great. Can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Excellent,
Cool, that's
excellent
good.
stuff.
Phew.
How's it going? How are you guys doing in the lockdown stage at the moment?
Well, busy, basically.
Can imagine.
In meetings all the time and trying to get to grips with things. Yeah, there's not a dull moment, even if it's a very different sort of way of working at the moment.
Yeah, I would totally agree with Sam. It's one of the busiest periods we've kind of seen working-wise. There's just so much to catch up with because everything's changing so quickly. So once you think, right, I've got a situation now, I know what I'm doing, then it all changes again. So you've got to get up to speed constantly. So, yeah, it's busy. Can
imagine. Yeah, well, we everyone appreciates what you're doing.
Yes, definitely.
Right.
So to start off, please could you tell us a bit about what your typical day looks like and how you are coping in the current situation?
Shall I go first, Jeremy?
Sure,
Sorry,
yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the thing is, even before this crisis started, there's no such thing as a typical day for a politician. Literally every day you're doing something completely different. One day you might be in the States of Jersey Assembly itself, speaking and voting on the laws that are being made. You might be in meetings with members of the public who are telling you what they think and trying to get you to help them with various bits and pieces. Or if you're a minister or assistant minister like myself and Jeremy, you will spend a lot of time in meetings with civil servants trying to get our agenda implemented out there in the departments that we're involved in. And that's quite similar to how things are now. But I think the main difference is that most of our meetings are now happening virtually. So spend a large part of the day looking at an iPad and trying to awkwardly get through a meeting where, when there's internet delay and stuff can be quite frustrating.
Yeah.
Yes, I can imagine.
Right, Jeremy, how does your day look? How are your days looking at the moment?
Yeah, like Sam says, it's all of that. I think what we have to remember is also, we're also dealing with a lot of queries from our constituents and islanders who are trying to catch up with everything that's going on as well. So it's a lot of correspondence, a lot of phone calls, a lot of emails, just to kind of get everyone in the loop. Because, whilst we've got some queries around COVID, there's a normal kind of day-to-day stuff. So, for example, even today I had a query from a parishioner about the parish and bins. So that work stream kind of carries on behind the scenes as well.
Of course.
And I would just can't emphasise just the amount of reading that you have to do as a state member just to stay on top of everything. Although we've gone largely paperless at the moment because we're just being sent stuff, but it's just mounds and mounds of paperwork that you've got to get through.
Sounds like my worst nightmare.
Same.
Right, should we get in some questions then?
Yes.
Right, do you want to go here?
Yep, okay. So the first one we have here is the lines are very blurred on what we should all be doing coming out of lockdown. Please can you clarify what we should and should not be doing? And this question is for both of you if you want to chip in.
Should we go to Sam first?
Yeah.
Sure. So I think the first thing to say is, like, the question says coming out of lockdown. And I hate to say it, but I think that's probably the wrong way to look at it, because we're not really coming out of lockdown yet. We're just going from a tough version of lockdown to a slightly less tough version of lockdown. So a lot of the things we're being told before are still the same. So, we're still saying to people, keep washing your hands. Even if you find it annoying having to do it so often, keep doing it. I think one of the hardest things that is still one of the rules now is to just avoid physical contact with people who aren't part of your household. Cool. So that includes your friends or extended family members. So you are allowed to go out now. You are allowed to meet with people, meet with your friends. But when you do that, you do have to keep your distance. 2 meters is what's being said. So that means no shaking your friend's hands or hugging or anything like that, which can be obviously upsetting and not great. But the virus spreads by people coming into close contact with each other like that. So what I'd say, if people are struggling to keep up to date with what some of the rules are at the moment, I think the government social media pages have been quite good at getting that information out there, and you can check the government website as well to get the most up to date. But right now, people do still have to be really careful, keep distance from people outside their household, and make sure they keep washing their hands.
Yeah, I think that's a great point to hammer down, actually. Jeremy, is there anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, I think Sam's right, and I think the situation is really, although we've had a slight loosening of the grip, I think kind of some of the advice is still behave if you had it, if you think someone else had it, whether you've got it or not. Still think about what you would do in those situations. So you're talking about making sure you have good hygiene, you cough and sneeze into a tissue, all that type of stuff, really makes a difference. Whether you've got it or not, it's still important to keep behaving like that, just to make sure that, we do everything to make sure that the virus doesn't spread, and that's protecting you, that's protecting your family and other people. And also just to imagine, even if you're out and about, there's still an issue about the virus maybe being able to survive on surfaces for a couple of days. So that washing your hands message and not touching your face is really important.
Okay, yeah, brilliant. Yeah, really important stuff there. This next question I think is directed to Sam. Could you tell us why there's not been more testing on Ireland? Will everyone be tested, and is there a current time frame for this to be completed by? If not, why not?
So when it comes to the tests, there are two types of tests. There's what's called the swab test, which works out whether you have coronavirus or not. And there's the pinprick test, where they get a little drop of blood, and that's meant to work out whether you've had coronavirus at some point in the past. So there's difficulties with both of those. The swab test to work out if you've got coronavirus. Originally, we couldn't do those tests on Ireland because we just didn't have the facility to do them. So we were having to send tests to the UK for their laboratories to examine the results and send us then those results back. And that obviously takes time, and it's not easy to do it on a big scale. And with the pinprick tests, there's been a lot of debate, I think, around the world about the accuracy of those tests, because what we don't want to do is test people with a system that actually doesn't necessarily work as well as you need it to, and then we end up telling people they're okay when they're not actually okay. So there's been difficulties with both of those, but I think possibly tomorrow the government's due to make an announcement about expanding on Ireland testing, so we can try and get it out there to as many people as possible. First in line have got to be those who are working closely with people in the health system, for example. So it's really important that we make sure people working in the health system get tested, and we know that everybody is safe and okay there. And people like the police will have to be tested as well. So I think that's tomorrow. That's coming an announcement about how that's being broadened out, and people will, I think, get a better idea at that point of whether they may get tested and when that could be.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. So next question, this is for Sam again. The last couple of months have been a bit of an emotional roller coaster for everyone. Is there a plan in place to support young people with any mental health issues they may have?
Sure. So this is obviously a really, really important question, because everybody's lives are sort of being turned upside down right now. Lots of people not able to go to school when they might have been doing that. Lots of people spending more time at home, even if that's not necessarily where they'd want to be. So we're really pleased that the youth service itself has really stepped up here and I think taken on some really, really important work to make sure that as many young people as possible are in contact with the youth service and offered the support that they need at any point. I know that the Yes project has expanded its opening hours. I know they've recruited a new part-time counsellor to help with some of the workload there if people need to see a counsellor and speak to them. They've expanded their online support, so people can now can contact through things like WhatsApp and things like that. So that's been really important. And of course, the other thing we've got is the Children and Families Hub, which we set up at the start of this crisis, worked really hard to get it up and running as quickly as possible, where people can call in, and if they've got an issue, that can be children and young people or their families as well, can get in touch, and we can try and get support where it's needed, whether that's support with education, whether it's support with a health issue or something like that. So it's been really tough, but I'm quite pleased that we've been able to step up some support that wasn't there beforehand.
100%.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I think that's a really big thing to take away from this. And of course, we're talking to Sue and Laurent from the Yes Project after this. So.
Brilliant.
Okay, this is for both. We'll go to Jeremy first. This is an interesting one. We appreciate that everyone's working hard at the moment, having to take difficult decisions in these uncertain times. How do you, as politicians, personally cope with all the negativity aimed at you, mainly via social media?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and just to agree, there are so many people working hard at the moment. And again, just to thank everyone who's putting together as a community at the moment, really making a huge difference and saving lives. As a politician, oh god, that's a difficult one. Sometimes it's to understand why people might have a negative thing aimed at you. Sometimes it's just lack of information. So sometimes you just need to provide people with facts and a better understanding, and then that kind of does deal with it. I think it's also sometimes just being honest. If we don't know, just say we don't know yet. And that obviously, is a frustration we feel, because we want obviously to give people assurance and confidence. But sometimes, this is a pandemic, it's a crisis. We just don't know all the answers at the moment. So sometimes that just takes a little bit of time. And I would say to anyone, if you maybe experiencing some bullying or negativity from social media, there's always the block button, and you can always turn stuff off.
Of course, yeah, definitely. Sam, do you kind of have similar views on this?
Yeah, so I think if you're in politics, you absolutely have to have a thick skin. There will be people out there who, no matter how hard you work, no matter how well researched you are, no matter how confident you are you're doing the right thing, there'll be people out there who just think you're wrong. And some of them choose to not be very polite about it, and choose sometimes to be really, really nasty and negative about it. And I mean, my view is just brush it off. You just got to keep going. If you're confident in what you're doing and you believe you're doing the right thing, just keep going. So Jeremy and I are the two youngest politicians in the States of Jersey. Jeremy was 21 when he was elected, and I was 23 when I was elected. And I found that the large part of the population absolutely loved having young people involved in politics, and that was great. But there was a small minority who were really patronising and condescending about it, and negative about young people wanting to step up and play a role in the governance of the island. And my response to that is, I think that some of the young politicians we've had in Jersey have proven those people to be completely wrong. Definitely. And the way that you prove them wrong is by giving it 100% and making a difference for your island. And I'm very proud of what I've achieved. I think Jeremy's done some great things as well. So you rise above it and you prove them wrong.
Yeah,
of course, yeah. Sorry, we just got a plane going over. Sorry about that. We're right underneath the airport. We just had a plane going over.
Yeah, I think that's some really, really important advice and
of course, with all the negativity, there's also a lot. I'm sure you see a lot of support as well, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, people can be amazing. There's nothing better than going to the pub with your mates and just somebody coming up and saying, "Oh, I saw you were involved in that. Just want to say that was really good. Thanks. And keep going." And
yeah.
you get things like that, and it makes it all worthwhile, you know.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Honor.
Thank you. So, how do you see? This question's for Jeremy. How do you see schools operating when they reopen? For example, will there be smaller class sizes? How will social distancing be managed? And will all children have the opportunity to go back to school?
So yeah, this is a really difficult question to answer because, like I was saying before, to be honest, we don't quite know yet. So at the moment, officers are looking at different scenarios for what can be done. So just to give an example, in some of our secondary schools, about 708 children go to that school. And so if we were to stick with 2 metre physical distancing, that could only fit around 35 students in the main hall and about 6 students in an average classroom, maybe 8 in the computer room. So it's a really difficult one, which we're looking through. But at the moment, whilst officers are working, it's called the safe exit strategy. But what we're looking at are things like, first and foremost, to think about how things are safe, can be done safely, to make sure that it's all done with the appropriate medical advice, to make sure that that's in place, and then consider how we can best do things. So that might mean we might have to change some of the other policies. So things like the attendance policy, we might have to relax. So, for example, if a student or a member of staff has a medical condition where it may not be safe yet for them to go back to school, maybe, just say that's okay and it's not something that people need to worry about, whilst making sure that there's still kind of work going for those students. So it's a really big question and we don't quite have an answer, but I can tell you that there are lots of officers working on this one to kind of make sure that there is a safe return to schools when that time comes.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Just following on from that, will children and young people have to go back to school, or will it be optional? So if parents have concerns and stuff, will they have to go back in?
Yeah, so we are working on that at the moment. There are some children, unfortunately, where home may not be the safest place for them, and therefore it might be good for them and their well-being to be in a school. So that might be more. Might have to be done more on a case-by-case basis. Otherwise, on the other side of it, it may be that some children, for medical reasons, it might be better for them not to be in a school environment. So we are still kind of working out the policy around that one.
Of course, yeah. Right, going on over to Sam again now. Following on from this, how do you see other youth provisions, for example, the Jersey Youth Service, operating in the short and longer term?
So obviously the youth service has had to change how it operates quite significantly during this time. Obviously we can't, young people can't physically attend their local youth club like they would have been doing previously. So they've had to adapt and do more online. And obviously I think they've set up their walk and talk sessions to meet with young people, from a safe distance to support them and give them some advice and help. So the youth clubs themselves will want to reopen when they can, but obviously that's got to be done when it's safe and not a moment before then. We can't risk having a situation where any young person is put into unnecessary risk because of bad decisions being made. They've got to absolutely be sure that it's safe to do so. And we want that to be as soon as possible, but we obviously will not rush it if it's not right to do that. But I think in the long term, having been through this, the youth workers will probably have some experience now knowing some of the good things that might have happened during this, like if the walk and talk sessions went well, if some of the online provision went well. So they'll want to think about how they can carry on some of that into the future or expand upon it. So today there was a meeting with the youth service and some of the other youth groups like the Sea Cadets and Scouts, etc. So hopefully they'll be able to feed back at some point soon about some of the things they're thinking about. But most importantly, young people will know themselves better than anyone what's been good and what's not been so good during this time. So we've definitely got to do something to ask young people to give their feedback to the youth service and give their suggestions as well about what we can do in the future. And that's obviously got to be our top priority, I think.
Yeah, I think that's really important. And me and Alfie have been involved in Zoom sessions as well with the young people, and we think it's gone
It's
really
working
well.
out. Yeah, it's
and
really
been
nice, actually.
Really productive.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on. This is a question for Jeremy. What support is available for students studying at Highlands College?
Yeah, so some really positive stuff that's coming from the staff of Highlands as usual. So, for example, there's a student life and learning support. So that means that there's additional support online, but there's also face-to-face drop-ins at the Nightingale Student Common Area, which students are using every week. So just make sure that you, if you are a student at Highlands College and you want to use that, just make sure you check the policy around that and don't just appear. Make sure that you're following the rules and social distance, etc. But there's also been the training for staff. So via virtual college, there's this thing called a rollout of Thrive, which is about becoming a trauma-informed college. So there's been a lot of development there, upskilling the staff. And also there's counselling, and there's counselling offer online, complementing the Youth Inquiry Service. They've also got open student forums for feedback with the principal and learner voice lead to assess support. They've also had parent surveys, student surveys, and staff about well-being, just in case there's anything which they need to dip into or support people, as well as lots of other stuff that they've been doing. And also all parents and students have the direct email and phone contacts of the staff and the senior support team if they need it. So there's a lot of good work at Highlands going on, and if anyone needs any more detail, just you can drop us a line.
Yeah, that's
Sounds
good to know.
super positive stuff, yeah. What arrangements... Oh, sorry, this is for Jeremy again. What arrangements are being made and what consideration is being taken if Highland students were to return to college before the academic year?
Sure. So understandably, students are thinking about, what's going to happen to me, come the next year. So there are a few things which they've already decided. So, for example, they're going to have extended transition days to crisis allowing, there's always that caveat above everything, but crisis allowing, extended transition days to serve for a series of events so people can understand what they're doing, as well as they're also engaging a transition expert from a therapeutic background to run online forums to support parents and students into how to transition in times of great change and anxiety. So they're getting that external support there. They're extending the induction times. So setting come September, there'll be extended induction periods. But also importantly is also extending the right choice review. So it means that if students perhaps opt for a course and it's not quite right for them, they've just got a longer time to change onto another course if that's what they want to do, which I think is a really good thing. And again, following following any medical advice, increasing any type of face-to-face support that might be appropriate.
Okay, so Jeremy, will priority be given to Year 12 students? It says here that they suffered from teacher strikes last year and now the virus.
So at the moment, there are different policies that we're looking at, principles that we're looking at in order to inform kind of the back to school policy. So that is looking at a lot of different factors, and we don't quite have that yet. So that doesn't necessarily mean that Year 12 will be given priority, but there are a range of factors that we need to look at, including the medical advice, logistics like travel. So students just getting to school, can they do it safely? So it may not necessarily be right. Also, we have to think about whether the staff can return. For example, it's safe for them to do so. So, for example, there's no point calling back a Year 12 maths class if their teacher isn't there and they're still doing virtual learning. So there still has to be a lot of work to understand exactly who can still teach, who can be there what day they might be able to be in. So that still is requiring a bit more work to do. So we don't have an exact answer to that at the moment. What we do now, however, is that when we're talking about year 6 students, about transition to secondary school, we are able to offer more around that, and we think we can do something around still offering that kind of transitional support for year 6 students going to secondary school, just so they can kind of understand the layout of the school before they transfer in year 7. We're looking around and offering around there, which is something which we can say is going to be prioritised.
Oh, brilliant.
Cool. Yeah, that's good to know. I'm sure that'll ease some year 6 students transitioning.
We've got a question in here saying, why is funding not available to home educated kids to buy resources, etc., and why they cannot have access to free exams like GCSEs?
Yeah, so whilst for the non-fee paying schools, the government does pay in order to support things, including exams. What the department does for those who don't want to go to school normally, and we call that the learning from home provision, they have to make sure to the department that the parents can ensure that the child can access all the curriculum and make sure that it's a high quality of learning that children can access. But that means opting out of the or taking responsibility themselves for the child's education also means taking responsibility for the financial side of it. What we do, however, is if they want to coordinate with the normal schools when they're taking their exams, they can do so at a reduced cost if they're doing it independently. So that offer is always there.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Good to know. Another question on education. Is it likely that schools will be closed over the summer holidays for students to catch up with the learning they have missed?
Yeah,
open, that schools will be open. I think that's supposed to say. Sorry.
So at the moment, there haven't been any decisions to alter term dates. So at the moment, we expect the term dates to continue as they are. So there shouldn't be any extra. I suppose what I would be saying is, whilst it's still not the same experience of learning, and obviously people listening to this will know that, children through virtual learning and through the websites, etc., are still learning. They are still getting an education. The learning hasn't stopped. It may not just be delivered in exactly the same way.
Okay, yeah. Sorry if you're repeating yourself with some of these questions, but because obviously no one's sure at the moment. But there's one here saying, will we have to wear masks on our return to school?
Again, so this is all going to be led by the medical advice, and we are looking at kind of the medical advice from around the world. And I suppose where we need to start is wearing a mask all day, for example, is not necessarily the best thing to do. So when you then factor in perhaps children or younger children who may have difficulty wearing them and may still then wear them all day, then maybe still touch their face and touch another surface. So at the moment, we don't have the medical advice to say that we will be doing that, but it is something that we are considering and looking at. So we don't have an answer for you. So I'm being honest here, don't have an exact answer for you, but what we are doing is looking at the best medical advice from around the world to know what advice we can give when children go back to school. But it is a more complicated when considering younger children.
Yes, I can imagine. So this next question is actually, I did not know this had been suggested. So it says here that it has been suggested that Year 11 and Year 13 can retake their GCSEs and A-levels in the autumn if they are unhappy with the grade they have been given. Do you have any further information on this? If schools have not returned to normal by this time, how likely is this to happen?
Sure. So the examination body overseer, I think, is called Ofqual, and they kind of set what we do in as Jersey. We plug into that system, which is largely UK, but England and Wales is kind of the system we plug into. Now, in that, they set the guidelines. So what they have done is they are consulting with parents and students at the moment over kind of the appeals process. So at the moment, at the moment they'll liaise with teachers and look at mock exams and pass that to give someone a grade. If someone's not happy, then there will be an appeals process. Now, Ofwat haven't exactly produced what that will look like, so we're still waiting for them to do that, but we know it's coming. Further to this, if students are still not happy with that later on, we do know that we will make available students to retake exams, obviously when the medical advice allows, in order to resit their exams. So hopefully that will give people lots of opportunity to get a grade which best reflects them.
Okay, brilliant. Are you looking at different year groups going back at different times? If this is the case, will younger people have more freedom earlier than the rest of the population?
So at the moment, everything's in the mix. As I said before, we are looking at all different types of scenarios about what is the safest to return children to school. So is that a split day? So, for example, do some children go back in the morning, some perhaps after lunchtime? What would that look like? We're largely limited by the fabric of the buildings of the school because, we're looking, do we introduce one-way systems down corridors in order to prevent people mixing so they can still have social distancing? Do we bring back, do we do a curriculum day? So, for example, if members of staff, for example, can't go back to schools, do we say, right, the teacher, maybe you'll teach one day at Laurent and the next day at Hope Valley, for example, in order to keep that learning going? So we have a whole mixture of scenarios which we are thinking about and looking through. We haven't decided what that is going to be yet. We're still working through that for the medical advice, what that should be. But what I can say is the minister's given the commitment that we will let parents and students know in advance as soon as possible.
Okay, yeah, so it sounds like a lot to take into consideration. Okay, so another question on school, but from home. So all the young people in the current situation who are studying from home, it says, is there any possibility of shortening the school day from home? 3 hours is a long time when there are so many distractions, such as parents, the dog, PlayStation, plus there are no teachers or classmates to socialise with.
Yeah, so a really tricky one. At this time, to try and kind of keep yourself motivated and carry on with that learning can be really difficult, and we absolutely appreciate that. During a normal school day, there might be four hours teaching with an extra hour kind of work. But what I would say is, make sure you take your breaks and manage it as best you can. We have had complaints from some parents who felt that their child isn't getting enough work. We've also had complaints from parents that felt that their child is getting too much work. So typical space of a politician. You can never please everyone. But for those people who are perhaps struggling with the hours that they're trying to do, again, it's just manage it as best you can. Do what is do as best you can. Manage it how best. And if you are having any problems struggling, do email, do contact your teacher, who might be able to suggest some things for you as well. So, obviously if you're stressed and worried about it, put that first. Your well-being and your safety is most important, because you can't be a good learner if you're anxious or if you're worried. So sort that out first, and then the learning will come.
100%.
I agree
yes.
with that.
Thank you very much. We'll let you have a bit of a break now, Jeremy. That was a long series of questions. Right, going over to Sam for a few now. There are numerous Jersey residents that have not been able to get back home from Europe. Do you have any general guidance on being able to travel back to the island?
So, to get back to the island, the government is working with Blue Islands to provide flights into the island, but they're from Southampton, and obviously that's going to be problematic for people who can't get to Southampton. And I've had people contacting me who've been as far away as South America, for example. And yes, so the number one piece of advice I would give to people is that if you do need to come back to the island and you're struggling to find a way to make that happen, please get in touch. If you need to get in touch with either myself or Jeremy, our contact details are available on the state's website, and we can take that up and ask. But I know that there is a unit in I think it's the External Relations Department in the government, which is working to try and get people back to Jersey when Jersey's the place that they need to be. And that can be difficult, and that can mean talking to other countries' governments to, find out how people get permission to move on. But there are people in the government who are working on that. And if you've got to make contacts to start that process, then I'm certainly happy to hear from people if there are people in that situation.
Yeah, that's really good to know, actually, because I didn't know that you could contact the government to sort something out. So that's some good advice there.
Cool.
Okay, so next question for Sam. COVID-19 will have long-term effects on the world for years to come, but has a plan been discussed for Jersey's future?
So we're in the really early stages of doing that. We're in a brave new world in many respects. Can things go back to the way they were before all of this happened? I, for one, hope not. I hope that actually, because of going through what's a really horrible experience, but also the amazing way that people have worked really hard throughout this to make things happen quickly, to provide for other people. I hope that we can use that energy and that experience when we do start looking at the horizon towards the end of this crisis, about saying, right, we've worked really hard to address the health crisis, but what about the economic crisis that people were facing before this happened? Lots of young people in particular looked at the housing market and thought, well, that's going to be so difficult affording a house in Jersey. And lots of young people end up wanting to leave Jersey because of that. So I hope that we'll look at those issues and say, right, since we're mobilised in the way we are for the health crisis, how can we direct that at some of these other issues to fix some of the stuff that was really, really damaging before? And a fundamental part of that has got to be about making this an island that is a great place for young people to think they've got a great, bright and fulfilling future here.
Of course, yeah, 100%. Another one for Sam here. When will guidance be issued in relation to private nannies, and why is it taking so long for this guidance to come out? The UK issued guidance early last week, and yet we are still waiting. So,
the short answer to that is that we should have our Jersey-specific guidance on that towards the end of this week. And I've certainly had people getting in touch with me who've been interested for progress on this. I would say, though, the comparison with the UK, we've got to be really careful doing that, because Jersey is a different place to the UK. And it's not right that we just look at what the UK does and copy and paste it and use it in Jersey. If I want to be a little bit controversial, I might say that looking at the UK, it's probably one of the last places we should be looking to copying.
I agree.
Some of the stuff they've done up there is really, really not good, and we've got to learn from their mistakes. So we'll have our own guidance by the end of the week, but it will be specific Jersey guidance and not just copying somewhere else.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think this is a question for Sam. Are we planning to use apps similar to the United Kingdom?
Yes, there's a lot of work going on with some of our technological people. We've got Digital Jersey and some of the businesses that work with those doing some really good work there. So it's not... But bearing in mind that I've just said we shouldn't copy the UK when it comes to guidance on nannies, when it comes to something like an app that is about gathering statistics and gathering information, like that sort of thing, we do have to look to other jurisdictions, because if we come up with something that the stats don't match other jurisdictions, if we get people come up from other countries coming to Jersey, then they might not fit into our statistic system, which wouldn't be good when it comes to working out who people have been in contact with, what risk they may be for catching the virus, etc. So the view at the moment is that we won't be developing our own app, but we'll be looking around to see apps that are successful and do the job well, and see if we can tap into that resource.
Oh, brilliant stuff. Okay, we're going to go back over to Jeremy now. What is going to happen with school years now? Will young people be moving up a year as normal in September, or will it be changed due to the time off, even with online learning?
So at the moment, the plan is, people will transfer to the next year as normally planned, provided everything's okay medically. We're still expecting roughly 1,000 new people to join our schools for reception class. So, at the moment, we're still planning for everyone to move up and progress through the years.
Cool. That's good news. I think that'll put
Brilliant,
some
brilliant.
That's
people's
one I can answer clearly.
minds at rest.
Excellent.
This is another question for you, Jeremy. Do you think that schools will be able to return to normal, or do you think this will only be possible once a vaccine has been found?
So it's a little too early to say, really. We don't know, and depends. We're all talking about the new normal, which what exactly will that mean? We're not too sure yet. So we're looking for still having things like social distancing, all that type of stuff. Up to 6 months, maybe a year. Even if there is a vaccine, because we don't know exactly how effective that's going to be with all the medical stuff behind it. So there's still a lot of uncertainty going ahead. But what we can do is we're doing absolutely best to make sure that we work with our staff, work with the unions and students in order to make sure that whatever is decided is absolutely safe for those students returning to school. And that's the thing which we are most concerned about, making sure that people are their safety.
Of course, yeah. Good stuff to hear. This is going to be the final coronavirus related topic. Question, and it's for Sam. Sorry if it's probably quite a grey area at the moment, but from one of our older members, we've had one saying, for those of us in relationships, is there any guidance as to when, if you will be able to meet each other without having to social distance?
Yeah, I mean that is a really good question, and I'm wondering the same thing, to be honest. Like, I miss all my friends, and want to give them a big hug. I think when this is over, I'm just going to hug everyone for a month afterwards.
Me too.
Yeah. I'll be really annoying, and I hate to say, but we just don't know.
Yeah.
It really depends on how things go over the next few months. That'll start giving us a better picture of it. It's not particularly nice to say this, but it looks like it will last quite a bit longer, having to physically distance from other people. But I think the point's got to be made that if we keep to the rules, like the vast majority of people have been doing up until now, we slow the spread of that virus. We support the government's efforts when they're doing their testing and getting the statistics it needs to work out exactly what the next steps are going to be, then all that can do is bring that day we're all looking forward to a little bit earlier. Whereas if we do have people who don't treat this seriously and don't obey the rules and start going out there and causing a risk to not just themselves but other people, that risks a second spike of cases, and that just means we put off that day for even longer, and none of us want to be in that situation.
Of course, yeah. I guess so.
As sad as it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so these are questions more on a lighter note.
Yeah.
So these questions are for both of you. So the first one is, in Jersey, we are able to vote from the age of 16. But what do you think you could do to encourage young people to vote?
Should we go to Jeremy first for this one?
Okay, yeah. So I used to chair a committee that's called Privileges and Procedures Committee. And it was my committee that revamped the vote.je website. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Yes,
but we brought in all videos of the hustings online, because that wasn't there before. And it was one central point where everyone could put all their information. So we did that. And something I was really keen to get is also kind of change the law so that registration is a lot easier. But also, I don't see why, if we have a more flexible system, we can't do more pop-up type polling stations. So I was always keen to see, well, why don't we give a morning to the students to learn about our system, look at the various candidates, and then maybe in the afternoon have a pop-up voting station for those above 16 in the school who can then go and vote. You know, your young people, do you think that is something that would be good, that it would encourage people to vote, or do you think they just go, oh, no thanks? What do you think?
100%.
I think that's a really good idea, because some of the reasons why young people might not be able to vote is because they can't get to the parish schools. So if it was up in their school, then
definitely, yeah, exactly.
And I think it's really important when it's like your first experience to try and make it really positive. So it's just something which I think could really encourage people. And it's not about forcing people. If they don't want to do it, that's absolutely fine. But again, it's just kind of creating that opportunity.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I really, really, really like the sound of that.
Yeah, I think that's
actually
a really good idea.
Okay, Sam, do you have anything to add to that question?
Yeah, I think there's two points I'd add to that. I mean, I agree with everything Jeremy just said. I think we do have to make voting much easier to do, and there's some, I think, really simple things we could be getting on with to make that happen. But I think the two things I'd like to see, firstly, is that I actually think our political system as a whole needs to be simplified. It's way too overcomplicated. It's a sort of mishmash of things that have evolved over hundreds of years, rather than people actually sitting down and saying, right, what does a good system look like, and let's just do that. So for example, I'm a senator and Jeremy is a deputy. Even though like we basically do the same job, we're just elected in two different ways. And I sort of think, what's the point? Like, shouldn't we all be elected under the same basis? And that would make it much simpler. And if people can understand the system, they're more likely to be able to engage with it. So I think that's a really important thing to do. Definitely. The other thing I think, and I don't know, Jeremy might not agree with this next point, but I think it would be really positive if the island adopted party politics. So right now, our elections tend to be more personality politics rather than really getting to grips with the big issues, you know. What can we do to improve Jersey's education system? You know, what are we going to do to play our part tackling climate change? And I think that if you had political parties where people grouped up together as teams, they'd be a lot more credible and capable of delivering on their promises. And I think people would then have more faith in the system, and that would make them want to be a part of it. And also every party then could form a youth branch and actually have young people take part and help create their policies together. So rather than have someone say, I think I know all the answers, vote for me, you'd have a party that would say, we don't have all the answers, but we want you to come help work with us to create those answers. And I think that would get more people involved.
I think that would be amazing. And I think your first point as well about understanding the system, I completely agree with that.
Yeah,
I think
100%.
understanding is a massive thing when you're a young person. So if you understand it, why not?
Yeah. And people are busy, you know, they don't want to spend all this time on stuff that ultimately is not very interesting, when the big issues are what are interesting, not the system.
Yes,
yeah, I agree, but I think I think those
some
are
great points raised
really
there,
cool
definitely.
Well. Okay, so the final question, really random question, but it'll lighten the mood a bit. Do either of you have any book recommendations?
So should we go?
Sure, who wants to go first?
Sorry. Let's go to Jeremy first. Yeah.
Oh gosh, let me think. What did I last read? I'm more a video game person. What did I last read?
I'm sure you got a lot of reading to do just in your day to day, though, don't you?
well, that's the thing. We do a lot of reading for work, so kind of it's still kind of a chore to do reading for fun. But he's a good author. If anyone wants to check him out, he's Leanne Hearn. She's done lots of different series of books, and one that I've read, and it starts with Across the Nightingale Floor, I think, is the first one, and it's about ninjas, and it's about kind of medieval Japan, and it's kind of how this young guy from a certain tribe learns his ninja craft and how he can then takes on all the different warlords in his different areas. So that's a really good read.
Oh, that sounds really cool. I'm going to check that out.
Alfie will be ordering that book this evening.
Sam, have you got any recommendations?
So when I was growing up, my favourite books were The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Oh,
books.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So there is a film, but don't watch it. It's rubbish. The books are so much better. So it's basically about a guy who manages to escape off of planet Earth just before it's destroyed, because it turns out his best friend was an alien. So and it's them going around the
I love
galaxy.
it.
It's like so stupid and ridiculous. But I used to sit down reading it, just laughing my head off.
Oh yeah,
and
you
all
just
my
get
family
lost in it.
thinking, yeah, my family just thought I was a complete idiot. Just sat there laughing to myself. But honestly, they're so entertaining and so funny. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, can't recommend it enough.
Brilliant. Definitely some ones to put on the list then.
Well, there you
100%.
go.
Sure.
That concludes our interview. Thank you both so much for taking the time out of your very busy schedules to chat to us today and answer all of these questions that have been sent in from the young people of Jersey. We'd like to thank Sam again for also joining in on our Guitar Club video the other week. Alfie is currently putting this video together now, so you'll be able to see the final edit soon.
Exciting stuff.
Thanks
Brilliant.
again,
Looking forward to it.
Thank to you both so much. We do appreciate all that you do, all that you are doing in these challenging times. So we are going to go to a song now. We will see you in a little bit.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.
Go back, I want so bad to hold you back. It's all I've said and done. Falling, be gone. I'll stand as I want again. The reason for no more overnight. The minute I was thinking to hold you back, the moment I was wishing it's overnight. The minute I was thinking to hold you back, the moment I was wishing it's overnight. The minute I was thinking to hold you back, the moment I was wishing it's overnight. The minute I was thinking to hold you back, the moment I was wishing it's overnight. Slow down, never. I know now, I know better. I need it more than ever. Go back under, hold back. I fall on the track. It's all I've said and done. Overnight. The minute I was thinking to hold you back, the moment I was wishing it's overnight. The minute I was thinking to hold you back, the moment I was wishing it's overnight. The minute I was thinking to hold you back, the moment I was wishing it's overnight. The minute I was thinking to hold you back, the moment I was wishing it's overnight. It's overnight. The minute I was thinking to hold you back, the moment I was wishing. The minute I was thinking to hold you back, the moment I was wishing it's overnight.
I wake up in the morning, love, and the sunlight hurts my eyes, something without warning, love, bears heavy on my mind. Then I look at you, and the world's alright with me. Just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely day. A lovely day. A lovely day. A lovely day. Lovely day. When the day that lies ahead of me seems impossible to face, when someone else instead of me always seems to know the way, then I look at you, and the world's alright with me. Just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely day. A lovely day. A lovely day. A lovely day. Lovely day.
When the day that lies ahead of me seems impossible to face,
Whoa, someone else instead of me always seems to know the way. Then I look at you, and the world's alright with me. Just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely day. A lovely day. A lovely day. A lovely day.
everybody's watching. No one hides. Everybody's watching. Wanna get away, find another place. Outer space. How on earth to get there? Time to elevate as we celebrate.
That was a bit of Vertigo by Drake Bell.
But we are back with the wonderful Sue and Laura from the Yes Project, the Youth Inquiry Service, here to answer your questions. How are you both doing and how are you both coping with the lockdown? You finding it easy, hard?
Sorry, I just needed to turn it.
Bit of sort of good days. Some days I find it harder than others. Yeah, generally it's okay. It's just, yeah, I think it'd be nice if we knew how long this was going to last. But yeah, dealing with it in my own way.
Yeah.
How about you, Laura?
Yeah, it's the same thing really. It's just making sure getting through okay, taking each day as it comes really, and waiting to see what happens, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying. Take it one day at a time. Okay, so on to the questions about the Yes Project. So the first question we have here is for Sue. Can you tell us about the Yes Project?
Okay, so I'm sure lots of young people will be aware of the project because we do go into schools and do assemblies and get out wherever we can. But the Yes Project is an information, advice and support service for young people under 25. It is a Project Jersey Youth Service. There's lots of the generic projects in the island, but we're what we call a targeted project. So young people can come for absolutely anything. We like to see it as like a one-stop shop where young people can come, ask any questions, they want anything they want to know, for any information. Now, obviously, we don't know everything. We'll provide the information we can, but we'll also like signpost young people to agencies. We'll make official referrals, but we also do advocacy work, which actually means that we'll actually attend various places with young people. We find sometimes young people don't have that person that they might want to, to go with them. So it's something we can do. We can attend with them at whatever place they need to go. We can be that person for them. So, yeah, basically, it's, young people can ask any questions, but the other side of it, we've got our counselling project. So it's a free one-to-one counselling service for young people. We've got a number of counsellors. I think now we've actually got 8 counsellors, various ages, personalities, and importantly, experience. And, we know how important it is for young people to have that relationship with the counsellor. So if any time they feel that it's not working for them, we can always pass them on to another counsellor. And the counsellor doesn't get offended by that because it's got to work. It's got to be that right relationship for them to get the best from that therapeutic service. So, we always try to match them up. So because we've got the 8, we can do that. Just trying to think if I've missed anything else Have you got anything else, Lauren, you can add to that?
I think that was a good general overview of the whole project, Sue, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think all the points you made there are really important and they're very, very good. And I think they're actually vital to know for all young people at this time.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to the next question. This one's for you, Laura. How can young people access the Yes Project?
Okay, so we do have a drop-in shop, which is at Columbrian Town. But obviously, at the moment, we are closed to people dropping in due to the whole COVID situation that is happening. But that doesn't mean we're not here. So we are currently available every single day, 7 days a week, 12 to 8 p.m. And you can call us on our free phone number, which is 0800 735 0010. And you can call that anytime we're open, 12 to 8 p.m. for free. Or you can text us or WhatsApp us on our mobile number, which is 07797 778 424, and someone will reply to that. Or you can also go to our website, which is www.yes.je, and on the website you'll find contact forms to get in touch, our email to get in touch, and also the other numbers I've just mentioned. Also on the Yes website, we have a whole host of information and resources for any young person or someone who's interested in the project. So if maybe you weren't too keen on calling us up and you wanted to find something out, you could probably find it on the website in our information section, which has information on a whole host of different things, such as housing support, income, education, training, support for online, mental health support. And we've also recently updated a new section for COVID support of other places where you can go and get help and get support from other different agencies. So we keep that updated as much as we can with different resources that you can download and links to different things and any other things that we might be doing. So that is probably one of your best bets. But you can also follow us on our Facebook page, which is actually the Jersey Youth Service Facebook page that we also post to and keep updated with lots of different things that we're doing. Obviously, it's important to mention as well that when we are able to open again for drop-in and people to come in and talk face-to-face, we'll be updating that on the website, on Facebook. And so if you want to know how you can get in touch, you can go to those places.
Cool, thank you. That's good to know. And the fact that you can contact the Yes Project via multiple different ways is really good too, because I, for one, sometimes find talking on the phone a little bit scary. So you can text or WhatsApp them on text or WhatsApp them, which is the same thing, or you can email them, and I'll reread out the numbers later on in the show. So thank you for that, Laura. Yeah. So moving on to Sue. I think this question's a really important question, actually, as they all are, but this one especially, I think a lot of people will wonder this. As a young person myself, I understand the importance of confidentiality. How do you manage this within the project?
As you say, yeah, it is really important. And when young people come to the project on the phone, however we engage with that young person, that's the first thing that we would talk about. Obviously, we talk about the confidentiality policy, but obviously the limits to it as well. So we always explain to them that if anybody ever calls for the project, asks any questions, whether they've attended or anything, then obviously we don't pass any information on to ensure the confidentiality for them. Because we do understand that a lot of young people may not want to share why they're here with family members, because if they've got things going on at home. So for that reason, it's important that they're aware of that. But obviously there are limits. So we always make sure they're aware that any time we feel they're at risk of harm, or they talk about somebody else and we feel they're at risk of harm, then we would need to pass that information on. But the important thing is we would always talk to that young person if we can. We'd always try and talk to them first to make sure they're aware of that. But yeah, no, it is really important. And, like I said, we don't share information unless there's any safeguarding issues or otherwise with their consent, because that is something we have a counselling contract that young people sign or agree to. And there is information on there about times when, that they agree that we can share it, maybe with their doctor or other professional. But yeah, we make sure it's clear for them right from the onset, from the start when we first meet them.
Yeah, and I think that's really good to know. So if anyone listening was thinking about getting in touch with the Yes Project but was worried about confidentiality, I hope that puts your mind at rest a bit and get in touch with them. They're all lovely.
Yeah, all lovely people.
We just wouldn't share. So even if they made a phone call, an email, we wouldn't share that information with anyone, or if they were attending.
Thank you. Okay, so the last question we have here is for Laura. Can you tell us more about Mental Health Awareness Week and your kindness tree? I've seen photos of it. It looks really cool.
Thank you very much. So in case you're not aware, today actually starts Mental Health Awareness Week for the whole week. And this year, the sort of main theme of Mental Health Awareness Week is the theme of kindness. This has come about a lot because of everything that's going on in the world today. And everything that's happening, we need to make sure we keep in mind the fact that we should be kind to ourselves and to others. So the Mental Health Foundation have put together quite a few different things surrounding the idea of kindness and looking after each other, basically, and how we can sort of, give back to our community, to other people in our lives, and show them a bit of kindness, but at the same time also be kind to ourselves and make sure that we look after our own mental health, our own well-being, and make sure that we're doing okay in general, but obviously especially more through these times where it might be even tougher and more difficult for some people to look after themselves and to look after their mental well-being. So what we have done at the Yes Project to try and promote Mental Health Awareness Week and the idea of kindness is we have on our shop, in our shop, we have a nice window space that we can display things, and we've painted on the back of it, we've had one of our sessionals, Josh, paint on the back of it a tree, and we've added leaves to our tree, and this is our kindness tree, that we are adding different things that people have sent in or told us about, acts of kindness that they've either done for others or that others have done for them. So what we're trying to do is get as many young people to get involved, get in touch, and let us know different times where they've either shown kindness to other people or other people have shown kindness to them. And then what we'll do is we'll add it onto our kindness tree, and we're going to do a daily update to show those different acts of kindness on social media, and also obviously anyone walking past will be able to see these acts of kindness and hopefully be inspired to be kind themselves. So again, I mentioned before about the Facebook page. The Jersey Youth Service have a Facebook page, Instagram, and Twitter, and we'll be promoting our kindness tree on all these platforms daily to give an update of the different things that people have done to be kind to each other. So anyone out there who might be listening, please feel free to comment on a post or to get in touch via email or text and let us know about something kindness that they've experienced.
I think that's a really, really lovely thing to do.
Stuff.
So make sure you do that. Get in touch, no matter how big or small. All kindness matters. And as you were saying just before, Laura, we were just talking to the ministers, and they were both saying how your mental health, and I could 100% agree with this, should come before anything else. So in regards to like home, like doing your schoolwork at home and stuff, if you're stressed, if you're, I don't know, worried, concerned, obviously everyone's worried and concerned at this time, that your mental health should be your priority and should come before anything else.
100%.
Definitely.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and obviously at the moment we are offering, counselling online, so, tell them to get in touch, but I mean, hopefully it won't be too long, we'll get the face-to-face, but anybody can just give us a call, email, text, whatever's the easiest way, get in contact us, and we can arrange for them to be registered for our counselling project.
And it doesn't just have to be for the counselling either. If the young person just wants to have a chat about anything that's going on in their lives, they can do that. We are here, like I said, 7 days a week, 12 to 8 p.m, and we're keen for a chat about anything really. So it could be something that's going on at home, something going on with friends, something that you're not dealing with well, or maybe you just had a bad day. You can get in touch. You don't have to sign up for counselling. You could just literally have a little chat, little check-in with one of the youth workers here, and we're more than happy to have a chat and help where we can.
Yeah,
we've all got a listening ear here, so quite happy to be on the end of the phone for young people.
Thank you. So make sure if you are listening and you do have any worries, concerns, questions, or you just want to have a nice chat with someone different, then make sure you call into the Yes Project. I will give out the numbers after this. But just for the final question, just to
conclude,
that's the word. What have you both been doing to stay positive during this time? Should we go to
what have I been
Sue
doing?
First? Let's go to Sue first.
I don't know, what have I been doing to stay positive? I'm making sure that I've a bit of self-care, and I've got my dog Harvey, so I take him out a lot. I suppose I'm doing a bit of mindfulness really.
Love a bit
this
of that.
morning I was out on the beach for Mental Health Week. I was taking notice of my surroundings in the beach this morning. I find that quite therapeutic, just going out on my own with Harvey for a little walk. That does me good before I start my day.
I love the beach. I remember meeting Harvey as a puppy when you brought him into St. James.
You still Sorry, carry on, Lauren.
Okay, moving on to Laura. What have you been doing to stay positive?
But I think that's a very good point that Sue made there about just, taking notice, being in the moment, and giving yourself a chance to just wind down and have a break. And, there's a lot of people saying things like, oh, you need to take advantage of this time in lockdown and make sure you learn a new skill and things like that. But that's not really the important thing. The important thing is to just give yourself a break and time to relax and look after yourself. So that's definitely something I've been doing. Obviously, been working, but aside from that, just making sure I'm doing things that I enjoy and keeping in touch with my friends and family, and just doing things that I like to do.
Doing things that make you happy.
Exactly.
Yeah, don't feel under pressure, because I think we do feel a bit under pressure that we should be getting these jobs done that we don't normally get time for. But no, chill.
It can wait.
Lovely.
Yeah.
You are the most important person yourself. So thank you very
Exactly.
much for joining us today to talk about the Yes Project. I'm just going to quickly read out the numbers again for anyone listening who may want to get in touch. Just to remind you, there's youth workers at the Yes Project answering phone lines every day between 12 p.m. and 8 p.m. If you would like information, advice, or just simply a chat, you might be struggling at the moment, which is absolutely fine. We've both struggled, haven't we?
100%, yeah.
We have good days and bad days. You can speak to a youth worker on free phone on 0800 7350 010, or you can text or WhatsApp them on 07797 778 424. Or you can email them on yes@jys.je. And don't be afraid to get in contact, because they are all lovely, everyone who works there. The nicest people. So thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having us. Take care.
Thanks for having the opportunity. Right, take care.
No problem.
Lovely
Thank
to
you.
chat, Abe.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
We're going to go to a song now.
Stick to the BEAT, get ready to ignite. You were such a BYC, catching all the lights. Just easy as ABC, that's how we make it right. The DASC, stick to the BEAT, just easy as ABC. Do the dance, the way you move is a mystery. You always have a music and me. way you move is amazing me. Do the dance. You're always there for music and me. The way you move is a mystery.
Ocean man, take me by the hand, lead me to the land that you understand. Ocean man, the voyage to the corner of the globe is a real trip. Ocean man, the crust of a tan man and by the sand, soaking up the thirst of the land. Ocean man, can you see through the wonder of amazement at the open man? Ocean man, the crust is elusive when it casts forth to the childlike man. Ocean man, the sequence of a life form raised in the sand, soaking up the thirst of the land. Ocean man. Ocean man. Ocean man. Ocean man, take me by the hand, lead me to the land that you understand. Ocean man, the voyage to the corner of the globe is a real trip. Ocean man, the crust of a tan man and by the sand, soaking up the thirst of the land. Ocean man, can you see through the wonder of amazement at the open man? Ocean man, the crust is elusive when it casts forth to the childlike man. Ocean man, the sequence of a life form raised in the sand, soaking up the thirst of the land. Ocean man.
Ocean Man, Ween. What a jam-packed show we've had
Ween?
today. By Ween.
What's a ween?
It's the band name.
Oh. I thought it was like a hot dog. Is that not what a hot dog is? Anyway.
No, that's a wiener.
Oh, a wiener, yeah.
You're such a child.
Okay, yeah, we have had a jam-packed show, but I've really enjoyed this evening, actually. It's been really, really nice to have Senator Sam Mézec and Deputy
Jeremy.
Education Minister Jeremy Maçon. I just said that without looking at a sheet. And obviously, we just had Sue and Laura joining us from the Yes Project. It was really, really lovely to talk to them. I hope we have answered lots of questions this evening that have been sent in from the young people of Jersey. If your question wasn't on there, we are really sorry. We literally got inundated with questions today. I think we had over 40 today sent alone. So,
Yes, mate.
yeah, it would probably lasted more than the actual show. We'd
Yeah.
have been here till 11
We were
o'clock,
on.
maybe.
We were talking for a long time
Yeah.
as well.
But it was nice, and it's nice to like. It's like ask those questions at the end about like your favorite book recommendation or something, just because like you need to
Sure, they're
remember
being
they
asked all these.
are. Yeah. I
They're
remem-
not. They're not just machines
No.
regurgitating questions.
Yeah. Remember that they
answered.
are really real people and they have emotions too. It sounds really weird, but like
Real nice people. As
Yeah,
well.
that- yeah,
they're super, super lovely guys.
yeah, and it's it's a lot easier. Well, I don't know if it's a lot easier because obviously we haven't interviewed anyone else in the States, but I find it a lot easier because they're younger.
Yeah,
as well.
100%. They're
And-
a lot more. I'd say a lot more approachable. than-
Approachable, that's the word. Yeah. So yeah, I think we need more. I was when Sam was saying that Jeremy got elected when he was 21.
That's
and
mental.
I was like, I'm 21.
Yeah,
What?
that's crazy.
How does he do that?
Yeah.
And Sam was how old? When was it like
23.
23. Oh my gosh, I could never do such a thing. So fair play to them both. I
Yeah,
can't
I know,
imagine
it's
how hard the job is. They
madness.
must like. I should have asked them about stress because if
Yeah.
I had that job, I'd be tearing my hair out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really, really, really nice to talk to them. And it just goes to show they've taken time out of their busy,
Very
with
busy.
a capital B, busy days, to come and talk to us. So it does just show that they care and that they're extremely passionate about what they do. So thank you very much again for joining us. And thank you so much to Sue and Laura for joining us and chatting to us about the Yes Project. It's very much appreciated. And I hope all the young people listening, all you young people listening, we help to answer your questions, put your minds at ease if you had any concerns about getting in contact with the Yes Project. But I really recommend you do, because they're all lovely.
They're
and
so nice. I
Yeah.
mean, I'd call just to have a chat, to be honest.
Yeah, they are all lovely. And if it's just, even if you want to take your mind off something, give them a ring. So yeah, that's my advice. And obviously, I know, do you know what we're going to end on? My advice is, because it's Mental Health Awareness Week, put your mental health before anything else.
Yes.
This is me. Who cares about schoolwork when your mental health is not the best it can be?
Exactly.
So make sure you put your mental health first. If I was your teacher, I'd completely understand and I'd tell you not to do your work and to sort your mental health out before you even begin to approach your schoolwork. So make sure you listen to what Laura said, you listen to what Sue said, and the ministers, because they said put your mental health first.
100%.
So we're going to sign out now. It's been a busy show. Thank you so much for listening and for tuning in. I don't know, I just really hope we helped to ease any...
clear some minds.
Clear
a
some
bit,
minds,
yeah.
that's the word. So yeah, thank you very much for listening. We'll be back on air on Wednesday, I think.
I'm not sure yet.
We're not sure.
We'll have to see.
We will find out, but
We'll
possibly
let you know
Wednesday.
on Facebook.
Yeah, the links will be on Facebook. So yes, thank you very much for listening. We have been Honor and Alfie. I hope you have a lovely rest of your evening. The sun is out, and I hope you have a beautiful day tomorrow. It's supposed to be really sunny again tomorrow, so I'm super excited for that.
Yeah, boy.
Thank you for listening. Bye.
Bye.